When you were younger, didn't 50 years old feel so far away? Like it was so far down the line that it wasn't even something that you needed to think about yet? Something that you would deal with later? Listen, I'm past 50 years old now, and I can tell you from experience that time comes a lot faster than you think. Hi, my name is Bruce Pelton. I'm a father of three boys, and they're not little kids anymore. They're young men. They have families of their own. And when you get to this point in life, you start to look at time a lot differently. Because when you're young, 10 minutes seems like forever. But when you're older, you start to say things like, where did the whole year go? How did it go by that fast? And when that shift starts to happen, you start to see time differently. It changes how you think about your life. And if you've ever caught yourself thinking like time is moving faster than you expected, especially as a father, that's exactly what we talk about here. You can subscribe if you want to see more of these conversations, but more importantly, and just stay with me on this, because that realization hits a lot harder than most guys think it will. Because when you're younger, you're not thinking about 50. You're thinking about what I need to do today. What bills need to get paid? What responsibilities do I have? And I lived like that for a long time. I think we all do. You know, I've been working since I was 16 years old, and I worked through high school. I've even worked through most of college. I never really stopped. At times I had more than one job. I was always busy and I was always moving and always working towards something. And over the years, I built what most people would say, that looks like a successful life. I've held executive level positions. I've worked in the banking industry. I worked for the government. I sat on boards of directors. Being part of city planning and zoning commissions, I've carried titles and responsibilities and expectations. And at the time, I thought that was exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And if you're a father, you probably understand that mindset. Because when you're raising a family, you tell yourself that you're doing it for them. You're working hard for them. You're providing for them. You're building something for them. And that's true. But what you don't see while you're in it is how much of your life is being consumed by that. You know, days turns into weeks and weeks turn into years. Years turn into decades. And it doesn't feel like it's happening in real time. It feels like you're just doing what needs to be done. Until one day you stop and look back. You know, for me, that's when it hit. I look back over a 30-year working career and I just realized something that I didn't expect to feel. All the things that I've been working toward, all the positions, all the responsibilities, all the effort that I was putting into building my career, none of that was bringing me closer to the one thing that mattered most to me, my family. In fact, a lot of it was pulling me away farther from them. And that's a hard thing to admit because as fathers, we don't question the path that we're on when we're on it. We just keep going. We keep working. We keep providing. We keep telling ourselves that I'll have more time later. Later to slow down, later to be present, later to reconnect. But later shows up faster than you think. And now you're at a point where your kids aren't little anymore. They're all grown up. And they're building lives of their own. And this is when you start realizing all of that time that you thought you had more of is behind you now. That's where the realization sets in. You don't really regret working, you don't regret providing, but you start thinking about the time, the moments that you missed, the conversations that you didn't have, the times where you were there, but you weren't really there. And for me, that realization hit hard, and I knew that I had to make a change. I didn't want to keep living like that. So I started doing something about it. I paid off my debt. I simplified my life. I made a decision to move to the same town that my kids moved because I didn't want to miss time again, not with them and not with my grandkids. Because something shifts when you see it clearly. You stop trying to find time for your family and you start building your life around them. And that's a completely different way of living. It's not something that you wait for. It's a decision that you make. Because the truth is, you don't want to wait until your body slows down or your options are limited to start living the life that you actually want. Because time doesn't slow down, it actually speeds up. And one day you realize that the biggest thing that you've lost is time. And it's the one thing that you can't get back. Sure, you can make more money, you can change jobs, you can even rebuild things in your life that you never thought were possible. But you can't replace missed birthdays, missed moments. The time is already gone. So if you're a father watching this right now and your kids are still at home, this video isn't about regret. It's about awareness. Because you still have time. You have time to make a different decision. You know, everything that I talk about on this channel comes from my own personal life experiences as a man, a father, and somebody who had to figure things out over time the hard way. I created this channel because there are a lot of men going through these same moments, but we don't always talk about it. So if this is something that you've thought about or something that you're starting to feel, I'd like to hear your perspective. Drop it in the comments or share your thoughts in the community tab, because there's real value in hearing how other fathers at this stage in their life are figuring it out. Because life isn't hacked, it's built. And I'll see you in the next one.